What's up YouTube, this is Slaan here, and today we're going to have a quick look at the World Editor Prefab pack and have a little look at the demo world that I released. I dropped both of them just before the Christmas. I think the stable release of 7 Days to Die went a little bit, well, it caught me by surprise. So I just zipped everything up that I had, and this, what we're looking at, is basically what you've got. So just quickly, what you actually download is this folder here. Inside we've got a little guide, which is how I built up this little area up here, but I'm not going to go into that right now. I do intend to cover world editing and actually using the editor and all the different things that I've been using to build what I'm about to show you, but I'm only just starting to now get to grips with how I might tackle bringing something like Project Slaan happen in Alpha 17. And by that I don't mean converting the prefabs and bringing them over. The old city is long gone, but I don't know, I'm just building up my library of bits and pieces and trying different things out at this stage, and the prefab pack is a work in progress that I'll continuously add to. And if you've got similar sorts of prefabs that I'm about to show you, you are more than welcome to get them in yourselves. Post them on the Slaan Hunting thread, we'll have a look at them. I'll go into detail when I talk about them, but honestly I've ripped so many prefabs just out of the vanilla game that I should have no shame. But if somebody's already built it really well, then why build it a second time? If you're going to build it exactly the same, just copy and paste that shit and let's get the worlds filled up with some really cool stuff. So to get back out of this guide folder, the core of the pack is this folder here. Each one of these folders is filled with prefabs, and you will just go into here, copy all of the prefabs into your 7 Days to Die install. If you want to play on the Hezuta Mountains demo world, you need every single one of these prefab packs installed. The world is literally built with these prefabs. Not all of them are just props. Some of them have sleepers, some of them, they're typically not things you would dump into the random world mixer. Which is why I think this is quite a different pack compared to something like, say, the combo pack. This is more for people who have randomly generated a world already and just want to fill in those gaps or add those 1 or 2 features that, you know, make the game interesting for your particular playthrough or server or whatever your reasons are. But anyway, each one of them is a category in the editor, and this in the background is the actual map that I made. So I'll minimize you. I'll talk a little bit about this for 2 minutes, and then we'll go straight in the game and we'll go through all the packs briefly, and I'll show you a couple of examples on the Hezuta Mountains map which you can download and play on. It's a working functional map. When was the last time you ever heard Slaan release something that didn't have any errors in it? I mean, holy shit. Except the highway and that weird little XML thing, but we'll just pretend that doesn't happen. But anyway, the map here, this is paint.net. I'd never used anything like this before. I was a massive fan of Microsoft Paint, which if you followed any of my other project stuff, you'll probably be able to tell. Simple things for simple minds, and it always suited as well, but we need something a little bit more advanced for world editing now, but it's actually pretty cool. So when I'm working on any world, the first thing I do is I build this little PDN file, which is paint.net's own format, and I basically insert every single one of the image files from the world folder is a different layer, and then you get with a bit of transparency playing around and layering it right, you can see how everything is. So roughly what we've got, red, chunky red is the highway. This was a randomly generated world. I just literally wanted to experiment editing terrain, hiring prefabs in, just having a right dick around with as much as I could, and then have something that I can actually play on as well, just to start to get a feel for what kind of direction we can go in Alpha 17, because I mean things have changed quite drastically. We've got some really powerful tools now to play with that we've never had before. Well, arguably we have, but you know, they're now more accessible than they've ever been is probably the better way to say it. But it means people who were a little bit wary about diving into like the fundamentals of Pills editor or HAL's editor and the BBB commands back in the day, all that crazy shit is gone. You just do it all in game now, and it's, in my eyes, one of the best things the pimps have ever done. It's about time. we started to be able to play around with this sort of stuff, and it's going to keep people busy for months and months and months. I can't wait to see what sort of shit people are going to make. But I'm rambling again. So red is roads, green is gravel, and I haven't changed the layout. All I've really done here is added 2. Yellow is the route that the highway takes. Now that's not precise, it's kind of accurate. But you can see down here, this world rolled the desert, and this whole area had nothing between those 2 hubs. And even the hubs themselves were tiny, and I was just like, fucking hell, you know, all this desert. Oh, well, let's mess around drawing a canyon, and we'll have a little look at that. I'll not go into too much detail, but honestly, it's just for a once through and explore. It's totally different, and it looks really good. I cannot wait to see when you really want to spend some time on a smaller area and making it look awesome, what kind of detail you'll be able to get into. But hopefully you'll start to catch on to a few things that I am doing, and it might open your eyes to doing things in a different way yourself. If I mean, obviously you think I'm full of shit, feel free to tell us in the comments. If you do it in a different, better way, then I'm all ears. But until then, I guess I'll show you how I'm doing it. So I don't want to show too much of the map off, but in particular we're going to look at the military bases, and there's one I've got ready in game which you can't see on the map because it's not connected to the road system. But I think it's about time we got in there. 5 minutes and I still haven't even shown you the actual game. I do apologise. Right, I'm just going to find myself and get that off. There we go. So, like I say, this is Hezuta Mountains. It was a random gem world that I've added to. And one of the first things I wanted to do, just because we had 3 military base prefabs, I think there is in the game, is just how many prefabs can I just nick just to build up a little military base surrounded by a trench. That was the project idea, and this was the kind of finished end result. Now we're in the world editor, so there's no sleepers here, but I promise you these areas are not for beginners. When you've got some ammo to waste and you're ready to risk dying to grab a little bit of loot, then yeah, this is the place to come. But like I say, these are ideas, works in progress and experiments, so don't expect anything amazing. But like I say, in the original world there was nothing here, so this is just a little Brucey bonus that you get to play around with or totally ignore. But it's just a good example of how you can take a lot of small prefabs and make something big without having to make one big giant fuck off huge prefab like what Slaan Hunting used to be. So the interesting thing is when we look at this, if I get onto the right tab and put show bounds on, that's how many prefabs this area is, and every single one of them was placed by hand, lined up, made to fit, dropped in. You know, I spent, I think, 2 days, about 6-7 hours maybe, throwing it together, making it right. But you've got to understand, I was building all the fucking prefabs as well, so I could rebuild an area like this again anywhere else on the map, I would say within 2 or 3 hours. The initial prefab set for the military stuff is quite good, so we're quickly looking at that now. I'll just take that off because it's a little bit laggy. So when you add all the prefabs, it made sense just to keep my own naming conventions, because I've got a lot of fucking prefabs and I need a way to pull my stuff out or to split certain things apart. So we can sort quite well in here though, and this is the only time you're ever really going to need to look for them anyway, so we might as well do it by categories. So there's extras in here that I haven't added to the prefab pack yet. Get the more finalized and better to use versions, whereas a lot of these sets at the minute have a lot of first copies and rough things. So, you know, don't be too surprised if there's a few things that you might see in the same group that I'm missing. But we'll look at the construction group. So this was used to do the quarry, which is just over here, and we'll have a little look around here. So it's basically cranes and construction style things, but there's only a few here. The warehouse, I believe, came from the scrapyard. Skips came from the scrapyard. The crane came from the skyscraper. That crane came from something. The cabin you know, just a few little things that I've littered around just to make the area look a little bit like a construction site and a quarry. It's not perfect, but like I say, we're not aiming to be perfect at this point, just to show with a little few buildings you can, and a little bit of work on the terrain, you can make a big difference. The highway, my beloved highway, all the different prefabs here, and all the prefabs have the thumbnails done. If they're designed to be put straight into the world, they'll have meshes, and some of the mesh files are really good. I generate a lot of my mesh files manually with the commands so that I can edit them and make them not perfect, but you can tell, especially with things like the bridge where the effort's been made. Is there anything else in this one? Construction, highway, the building, so that's not in the pack. I've got a few little things though from old Slaan Hatton that I want to bring forward, so they'll probably get dumped in there. Military, so this is what the base and the other military air base was made out of. So you can see all things from the roof of a skyscraper, from the roof of a skyscraper, from the roof of a factory, from the roof of a skyscraper. I actually built them, but they're just really basic. They were more of a visual representation of an actual hangar size wise, but again, I'll give you a little look at that in a moment. But these are all just little decorations. How many prefabs would it take to make a military base with a runway and a control tower and all that sort of jazz? It's an interesting little thing. But you can see the military pack, and considering I pulled every single one of these prefabs out of the 3 vanilla military bases, it's theft of the highest order, I believe. But they are very useful to have, and even if you didn't want to use this kind of idea, what you'll see further down the line in the future videos with Slaan Hatton is I'm building areas like this and making prefabs from the area, and then that final prefab I extract becomes the work of art per se. So there's a lot of different ideas to try and cover, but I promise if you follow over the next few weeks, the next few videos will hopefully start to shed a bit more light on what I'm kind of doing and the way I'm going. Random stuff, again billboards and signs, but that's more Slaan Hatton kind of things. That's a vanilla one. Streets, you know, like I say, I'm messing around big style at the minute with how much space does a city need a city in to be a city. And you know, before you put buildings in, before there's actually any proper prefabs, how many prefabs does it take, or what does it take to make just that area look or just have that feel? Because if you can nail that, then just adding the buildings is the easy bit, to be honest. So there's a lot of things going on Slaan Hatton wise, but we'll have a look at a couple of the areas that we've done. I guess I should give you a little run of the highway. I'm really proud of how this turned out, and this is what you call good planning and easy access to terrain modifying. Performance wise, NLAN are currently hosting this map on their server, which I play on quite often. We're up to about day 50, and other than petrol bombs crashing the server on Horde Night, we've had no issues. It's perfectly playable, it's perfectly fine. It's a lot of fun, and the highway is fully sleepered. There's lots of stuff there, and this is what I mean about good mesh files. Can you see the shitty bus? Let's just get a bit closer. When you got to think asphalt, you can't have in a mesh file. Terrain disappears. So I needed to do something anyway with these ones, but I love that bus. It's so bad, but you never get to see how bad, because then it looks so good. I think this is where the highway actually ends, yeah. So like I say, the highway runs all the way through. It's zombie infested. It's cool if you've got a bike. There's traders on every east to west section, all 5 traders as well. So I don't know how many are rolled on the map. I think there's about 3 or 4 that we've found so far. So like I say, the map itself, if you're not interested in using the prefab packs, there's a lot of things that you can play on and explore, and it should carry you through until some better maps start coming out. Anything else? I mean, you can just see there's 2,700 lines in the Prefab's XML for Hezuta Mountains. I mean, look at all those. It's absolutely crazy. And it's still, I wouldn't say we're in the region of taking the piss just yet. But I'm trying to get there. But so far so good, like I say, testing. I don't know if littering the whole area with a million different little prefabs is the way to go, but there'll be some middle ground, I think. Making a few big things, or bigger things, out of the little bits, and, you know, being a bit more creative with the terrain. And there's not a lot going on in this area. I've got a lot more plans for tunnel systems and stuff, but I've got plans for everything and no time to do them all. But what I'm kind of thinking is the tunnels in Navas game. I mean, you've got to understand I managed to scrap in all of the Navas game prefabs. Is there one that's a bit more visible? All of the skyscrapers are on this map in the different hubs. I wanted to make sure that when I had time to sit down and put a few weeks into a playthrough that I could experience everything. So I tried to cram as much as I could into areas where there was just nothing. And the roads, everything, it all lines up. It's not perfect, but you know, this is the future. This is definitely the future. I don't know, you could put a lot more effort into your terrain, but for skimming over, teaching yourself and learning and practicing, and then just saying, right, okay, I know what I'm doing now and moving to the next project. I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad at all, I don't think. But I've done my best to litter the area with prefabs. You can see there's bases, the factories. We've tried to get everything in there. The radiation zone has been shrunk on the south side of the map. I think it's 32 blocks wide from the edge, so be very wary if you're getting on your gyrocopter and flying over here. But other than that, I think I'm going to put Slaan on an island so that we can have just a squeaky tight radiation zone, or possibly even no radiation zone, and just, you know, surround the whole landmass with water. But the prefab pack itself is for people who want to add that little bit of different to the games or to the servers. Is definitely worth checking out, and I promise in future I will start really looking into the actual placing and the building of the world. It's just I can't really do tutorial videos on how to do something if I'm not 100% sure myself, and it's not so much the using of the tools, it's having examples to show people. You know, I mean, the tools themselves are quite self-explanatory, and yeah, you can move and drop a prefab in, but what does it really mean? How is that useful? And when is it better to maybe just write the lines into the XML by hand? Or how do we make a big, massive custom hub style area like you used to have with Slaan and put it into a map like this? You know, there's a lot of questions that I'm going to try and do my best to answer, and I think it would be quite cool to see something like Slaan be reimagined and be born again, and I'm going to try and do a much better job of following the process. So like I say, it all starts with me for the prefab pack, and even with the new city is going to blow your minds. I'm going to have some good prefabs pretty soon. But I think that's it. That's all I'm really going to show you now. If you want to have a cool map to play on, download Hezuta Mountains and put the prefabs on. It is really good. I'm sure there's better maps out there, but it has everything you need. All the traders, all the main prefabs are covered in various spaces. It's not like I've just tried to dump everything into one big massive blob. Quickly, I promise, because I was telling Stallions then when I was talking to him the other day, ages and ages ago, he was like, oh, I've got an airport, and I was like, yeah, I'd always fancied an airport for Slaan, and I just never got the time to really sit down and approach the idea, whereas now it was like, it was a good excuse to really have a dig around with, not just building an area up, but incorporating things like terrain edits and gravel paths and roads. So, you know, we're getting cars and traffic and stuff, and then we've got actual vanilla prefabs, so there'll be quest interaction. in the building of this entire area is covered in the guide. You don't see all of this. If you have a read through the guide and then take a look at this is kind of where I decided, right, okay, I've got enough. It looks like a military base now. That'll do. And I'm really happy. But again, if we put the show bounds on, I mean, this just blows my brains out really. Like, there's about 100 prefabs in this area, because you've got to remember, we've got all that shit on the hill. This is the bit that I design in the little guide that I put in there. I'll just dive over. So if I take that off, because it gets laggy as hell, you can see the whole map's worth of prefabs. You know, even the silly things like a barbed wire fence prefab. Do you know how much time that saves? That was like 6 copy paste or something. In the olden days, it would have took us like a day's worth of building. Some crazy third-party tool to get it out of the game. So it's, you know, we can mix and match. We can set down some permanent features like the roads and the hills and stuff, but you've got free reign of what prefabs you want and where you want them. Building a whole map from scratch is going to be a task, but I think at some point I'm going to look at blending in the city that I'm working on now into this map, just as a, you know, can it be done? How easy is it to do it? What do you actually need to do? So there's a lot of things planned for the future. Sorry if I've blabbled a bit too much. There's just loads to talk about, and there's just not enough time to record it all without us taking a break from building and making things and doing stuff. But at the very least, check the world out. It's really good. There's plenty to see and explore. 2,700 prefabs. And just to put something against that, I think Navasgain is 1,600 lines in the prefabs XML, so it's quite a difference. But like I say, performance-wise, seems to be perfectly fine. But right, that's it. I'm going. We're done. Until the next time, this is Slaan checking out. Download the prefabs.